I can promise that I will never remember to start the recording on
Same.
my own, which is even worse when I have like actual lecture sessions with students where they need to go back later. Okay. So I don't know if anyone from the poster team wants to lead this off, but essentially the question came up in the last hour right around what data are we presenting on the poster from the pilots?
Yes, so my one of the things just as we were trying to look at it, as I understand it, different approaches have been explored as we've been through um, learning about the data, and things were cut out and things were put back in again. So is there a kind of a fixed version that we want to nominate? Because I know all of it contributed to the thinking of the actual study. So is there something we want to crystallize as the piece that was the bit that I was going to ask for.
I really like the one that you sent us, which is the new design, Ross. It wasn't fleshed out, which is why I said I was
I
baffled.
was talking about data. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay, sorry, yeah.
So then we have the pilot data. And if I can just share my screen just for 1 second, just to show you the highlights that I don't care how. That sounds terrible, but let me see, is this the right one? I think so. Do you see this red headline here? Is that what you guys see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is just the only reason I'm showing it to you is in each of these areas, this is the shortest form. It doesn't have to be this, but you can see research questions. We basically have two. Do familiar TV theme songs elicit stronger nostalgia? And does nostalgia include safety, security, and sentimentality? So that really waters it down. So in each of your areas, I would like to see, it doesn't have to be this, but I would like to see it watered down and then have the QR code point to, could be a handout with a whole paper, or it could just be the abstract with more details in each section, or a way to contact Stephen and Jesse since they'll be presenting. That's up to you.
So I've
But
I've got a question that kind of ties all this together, if that's all right. So this poster is looking at the pilot study. And so in my mind, I think top down, what's the full purpose of the pilot study? Not
mhm,
necessarily the research study. It's to validate the tools that we're using in the actual study and to validate that they're measuring what we want them to measure, that sort of
mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
This might be a question for Perry and Josh. Is this something that we want to focus on, or are we really just kind of showcasing the research to come as well? I mean, it may be a yes and sort
I
of
would
thing.
focus more on what we did, and you don't even necessarily have to talk about it as, I mean, you can say pilot on the poster, but that doesn't need to be the headline. It can just
Mhm.
be research that was conducted, and I would focus on the goals of the pilots versus the overarching research goals of everything, because then you're going to get into a huge theoretical thing with a bunch of stuff that we haven't quite gotten the data for yet,
Yeah.
versus just focusing on what we were testing within those pilots.
You can see here under methods, I did put 2 pilot studies as the leading part of the phrase.
Hmm.
I think that's good.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So like I said, this is just the bare bones. But I know it's confusing, but when I used to study with Pam Rutledge, if any of y'all remember her, she didn't want any text. I mean, she wanted a visual, and then she wanted to hear from the speaker presenting. She wanted people to listen. So I'm now, especially Ross, since you sent that video, by the end of it, I was so sold. And I'm a great example because I was the complete opposite before seeing the video. And then after the video, I was able to see a lot of examples. And that really helped because we're trying to bring it from some abstract idea. But if you watch that short little video, it's so cute. by the end of it, you'll be like, oh, and I know y'all are so creative. If you watch that, you're going to have ideas. And Stephen, you may come with your cape to attract attention.
My tights, my bright blue tights. Could you share that link to the video with me? That also didn't show up in the chat for me.
Jesse, you got it?
So just a short circuit, I will go back and revise that. I'll add in some, I'll try and find some great visuals, but keep it with text. I personally love the Pam Rutledge idea of a picture and then talk, but that's not what a poster session is. A poster session has to have text. I'll go back and cook up some graphics, and then I will look at intro and discussion, because that's the bit that I feel comfortable looking at. All pre-edit, because we'll all edit, obviously. I'm just gonna fill out some pieces, and then we want to frame the other parts, and I guess it's who's going to contribute to the other bits. Is that the way we want some stuff out?
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute to the results part, just because I was kind of practicing that, and I can get together with Karen and make sure everything's legit and good, and then I can send that information your way, Ross.
Mm-hmm.
I just resent my old video for what it's worth, or visuals.
Okay. Yep.
Just to make sure those core distilled ideas are there.
Yes.
Then I have more from. I fight with AI. It gives me stuff I never like, but then if I can get inspiration from it, I can pull. Whatever you all want to do, we can meet again, maybe even before the next lab.
Yeah.
If you want some time to think and muse and get inspired. And watch the video. Nudge, elbow. We're lucky that Karen did write for us a draft for the pilots of what she wanted included. So I use that heavily when we were editing. And I really felt like I especially benefited when we all got together and I could hear your ideas.
Yep.
Stephen, what are you thinking about?
I'm still kind of catching up because I was on something else. My brain is in a different mindset right now, but I need to get into poster mode because we have what
2 weeks.
2 weeks from today. So I mean, I think we just need to kind of put it together. I think all of us know basically what we're doing. That said, what data analysis has been done, I think we could decide what's most significant from that and then maybe do some extras. Karen had done some playing around. I think Perry had, and then us as a group 1 week. But that might be good to do sooner than later, so we can start writing like a through narrative for the poster.
Yeah, we could, just to make use of our off time. Ross, if you're working on the visuals, doesn't have to include you, but we could all write something to go in each of those areas, the key areas, and then put it all together when we meet. Stephen, I don't know if you heard, but Karen had suggested that I use this software called LIWC, which I ended up buying. And I produced data through SPSS and that program, but it's not what she wanted. She wanted to see us have 2 tables that show the positive tone for each of the pilots as an aggregate score. And so what I was able to generate was the subscores, not a combined score for positive tone. So it broke positive tone down into what that included. And she said there's a way to do it. And I went to her last office hours and she said she didn't have time to show me then. She said we might be able to do it during lab, or I can come to her next week's office hour and she'll go through it with me. So Ross had asked for a couple of tables for the poster, so I think those will be them, but I need her help. I don't
When
think
is she,
you know
when is
that's
she back? Do
She'll
we
be
know when
back
she's
next
back?
week. Yep, she'll be back next week.
Like Monday next week? Because I'm going out of town next week. I'm traveling to New York on Wednesday, which the 8th, and I'll be back on Sunday the 12th. So I'm anticipating I'll be able to work on things on the plane, things like that. But I'm going to be on the Drew Barrymore show, so I'm going to be a little busy.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going
Thank
to
you.
ask
Yeah,
if you got any bites. That's
I
great.
did, and I pitched them the idea of presenting this poster session there, and they loved it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm going to be on there, so I will be kind of doing things, but I will be available to write up and do. I just wanted to put that out there because I don't want to overcommit to something. And
Is
then
it live on
whatever I
tape?
do.
Will it broadcast right away, or do we have to wait?
No, it films on the 9th and it airs on the 14th.
14th. Yeah, send us a
Mhm.
link. Clue us
I
in.
definitely
That's
will.
awesome.
I'll be working on the poster in my hotel room and on the plane and my sections and stuff like that. But I'm hoping to meet with Karen before we go because like I'm confident in the results section of the first pilot study, but with the second pilot study, things get a little wonky in my brain because I'm just like, wait, a factor analysis? What even was the second study? Like, so I just want to make sure all my ducks are in a row too. So are we differentiating between pilot 1 and pilot 2 in the results section as well? Or are we kind of just being like, this is what we found for both pilots?
Remember, Karen has office hours on Tuesday, East Coast time, really.
Right.
And then Thursday is a little later, more like this time.
Right. Maybe I'll just email her and get a little individual stuff because Thursday I'll be on stage, baby.
Yeah.
She's back on October 7th, so I think she does have office hours on Tuesday.
All right. Thank
We
you.
could go through it now, but I actually don't know that program very well.
And like
Yeah.
honestly, I've lost my access to like SPSS because I only had it from being in statistics. And like as the weeks continue
Really?
to progress and my brain gets further away from math and statistics, I'm having a harder time with the results section than I want to. So it's the challenge for me. But
There is a
yeah.
link for students to get an access key for SPSS that you should be able to access if you'd like to
Oh yeah, I would.
I
I
think
know.
it's off
Angel, do you have
Moodle,
that?
right?
Is it
It
on
is
Moodle?
Moodle.
I could take a look for you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah,
Yep.
they
Thanks, I
do
appreciate that.
kind of broadcast the license key each time. It's in whatever is my fielding area now.
Oh, okay.
It will list
Just
what the
somewhere
key
like
is
in the
every time.
homepage.
Oh, it's in the fielding experience thing.
The one that lists like SPSS and Qualtrics and all those
Right.
resources.
All right. Academic resources. I'm sure I'll find it. And if not, I'll email some. Maybe I'll search. Okay. I'll find it.
So if
Or
you're
if you
leaving
find it, send it to
Thursday,
me.
I have award season is starting. So
I found it.
it's going to be amazing if you see me at all from now through Christmas time. But
Sure.
Thursday, we have Jerry Bruckheimer for Brad Pitt's F1. So I don't know about being able to get to her office hours on Thursday, but if you're not there, then maybe I'm just wondering if we all should meet or if you think next Wednesday, poster team would be able to meet during the MTV time. Perry, do you expect we'll be reviewing study 1 results
We're
that day?
gonna look at that in a little bit here.
Okay. Okay.
But I'd say if you guys need to do that next week, go ahead and plan to use the lab time for that. I won't be here, but Karen will be. I'll actually be leaving New York on Wednesday.
Oh, wow. So we're all in
Will
flux.
be.
So you're not on the Drew Barrymore show then, Barry?
I'm not, but if I was there on Thursday, I can talk to you, Jesse.
You could
I
talk
can get
about
you a
AI.
ticket, bro. I can get you a ticket. Come on in. Get in the green room with me, baby. Eat some snacks.
You're certainly bringing the media to media site there,
That's
Jeff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's going to be a big component of the interview. I'm meeting with them tomorrow, but everyone that I've talked to seems very impressed with this media psychology journey and the research part of things and wanting to change true crime and stuff. So it's going to be talked about,
It's
Awesome.
gonna launch your career. That's awesome, Jess.
Yeah,
right?
you're
Plug a
you're
little
killing it too.
Building
You're going so
Graduate
fast.
University.
It's a great story.
Thanks. Yeah.
I hope it
Listen,
brings
we're
lots of
here.
eyeballs by the time you do the poster session. People will be attracted just to meet you.
You're like, oh,
And you
is
can be
that
like, I
And
happen to
Nicole?
be.
a t-shirt from Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, as seen on the Drew Barrymore
Yeah,
shirt. Can we put
but
that on
that's what we
poster?
need to put on.
Wear a
As seen on
t-shirt.
Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
That could
Ask
be
me about media
yeah, that could be on the
psychology.
QR code as the link to the interview. It's like
There
if
you
you
go.
more of our
Wear a
fine host.
QR code for that.
Yeah. Talk about nostalgia.
Of course, just now there's no pressure on your research because there's now thousands of people who want to see it, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
right, this is not just going to slide through some academic circles. This is like people are following you now.
Right?
Hashtag
Yeah.
no pressure.
No
So
pressure.
cool.
Get our
But
shit
they'll
together.
listen to you now. And that's what you want.
Right.
You can't have
Exactly.
an
Finally.
influence if no one's paying attention.
Exactly. So it's all happening, baby.
Which is
All
what we
happening,
want for our
baby.
poster. Attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna come with full like lights, camera, and action. I got a party light. I'm already gonna pack it. I'm gonna check it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get everybody up, everybody in the club getting postered. It's gonna be great.
Super cool.
Anything else to discuss on the poster?
So, poster team, do you want to meet
I'm
offline or do you want to meet Wednesday? What do you think?
I'm very flexible, and I think we should. I think we
Okay.
should,
Yes.
and I think we should see where we're at with the different sections.
Okay.
I'll add in the bits that you've done as kind of placeholders, Angel. You know,
I'll
the
throw in some more to you today if I can.
minimum statements for each little block as a holder, and
Yep.
then.
Okay.
But I think we need to confirm who's going to deliver what by the 15th.
Okay, are you guys available Monday the 6th to meet on about this? That might nudge
Would we
us to
want
do a little more before we leave. Sorry?
to meet before that, or is there some work that needs to be done before we meet?
What I'm thinking is on Monday the 6th, maybe individually, you can work up your ideas. You've each told me you have different ideas. And then Monday we can get together and maybe we can share the ideas via email beforehand. So that on Monday we
Oh,
can
yeah.
distill and integrate.
Mhm.
So
Maybe
Monday
I'll
6th.
maybe I'll create like a OneDrive Word doc or something that's shared, and
Okay.
we just drop ideas in there and work off of
Okay.
each other's.
Yeah, just send a
So
link
rich.
to exactly where that is.
Yeah,
So
I'll
we
do
can
it through
find-
the email, and
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. And then on Monday, we should meet. Is 12 o'clock good? Should you want it earlier or later?
Personally, for me, I'm have to fill in all of my work schedule and school shit on Monday, and so I'm working like
Okay.
12 hours back to back because I'm leaving on Wednesday. But I can like
All right.
send all things electronically, and you can
Yeah.
take it on. Because I'm just gonna do results section anyway, so it's like
Okay.
you guys, I trust y'all. I don't need to be.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Ross, Steven, I know Ross, it's hard for you.
What was the time again?
I was just the same time as this, basically 12 or 1 EST.
This is
Uh,
this.
12 PST works for me on Monday.
Yeah. I. Full disclosure, I'm in London at the moment, and I'm in
Yeah.
Europe, so this is fine. This is like 9 o'clock at night, so I can do this. Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you a link for the meeting and then we can coordinate offline.
Okay.
Include me on it just in case I can pop in.
Okay.
Let me know.
Okay. Poster team Monday, 12 noon PST. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, Perry, take it away.
All right, everyone. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. Our data did not come back the way we wanted.
Oh.
What do you mean?
So we did not find support for our hypotheses, but I also feel like more likely is that some of our manipulations didn't work as intended. So what we're going to do today is I'll take a deep breath. It's okay. It's all part of the research process. This happens. First thing I'd say is please do not let any of this influence what you're doing with the poster. That is collected data. You run with that as it is.
Okay.
What we'll do is talk a little bit about what happened with this data and then talk about ways to move forward.
All right.
And Karen was like, I won't be there. Sorry.
We miss you, Karen.
He said, see ya.
Just kidding. She didn't say it that way. Okay, what I'm gonna do is share my, I have to share my whole screen because with SPSS, it otherwise does not show the pop-up windows. I am not able to zoom in any further on my end, but if anyone's having trouble, you can always zoom in your screen. And I'm gonna hide the floating control panels so that I can see. So I will not see the chat or anything. So as with any time we run data through SPSS, we have to go through a cleaning process, which Karen, Josh, and I did at the end of last week, taking out any potential fraud, all that fun stuff, duplicate answers. And then also having to create composite variables. So for we have composite for song 1 and song 2 for nostalgic, happy, sad, distressed, safe, secure, etc. A comp of how familiar the song was, how familiar the show was, how much it gave them the feels. And then our score for social connectedness, which is an average of those items, and for self-continuity, which is an average of those items. The data analysis is a little different than what we did on the pilots, because in the pilots we had a within subject study where everyone went through everything just in randomized order. Versus in this one, they either became part of the control group or the nostalgic group. And so we have our variable for that metadata tag for the control versus nostalgic. So what I would normally do is if I'm coming in here is I look at the descriptive. So for some of my key variables, before I even break it down by conditions or anything, just see what the averages are, what the standard deviations were, etc. Do. And so on first glance, it makes sense that for most of these variables, the minimum was 1, the max was 7. That means for everything, at least one person hit a 1, at least one person hit a 7. And then we see some means and standard deviations. So our nostalgic variable is around the middle. Again, we don't have to worry too much about the differences there because this is everyone combined. It's not by condition yet. But as expected, right, sad was lower, distressed was lower. A lot of our words like disgusted came back low, which is good.
Gary, sorry, it might just be me, but I'm just seeing the raw data file.
Ah,
Is
okay, let us address that.
you may just be sharing that one
I
file.
thought I had shared my screen, but perhaps I did not. Entire screen. Is that, can you see it now?
I still see just the Excel document.
Okay, let's share.
There we go. You can see SPS now. Yep.
These scrolls again. Thank you, Stephen. None of what I said probably made sense. That. So for some of our variables like upset, disgusted, etc., that we expected to come back low, they came back lower than the others. That's good. There can be issues if like we found that 90% of people were very disgusted during the study. That seems like bad data. Familiarity came back in the middle. That's again fine because it's both conditions combined. The feels is a little low. We got our social connectedness. So this is just kind of checking, taking a look at what we got back. The next step is really taking a look between the conditions. And so for us, the first one that we would start looking at is going to be the difference in the means on our outcome variables between the two groups. So I would do a independent samples t-test because we had two conditions and people can only be in one condition. Test variable, social connectedness, self-continuity. And then I want to group it by which condition they were in. See if there's any options we need. No, we're not going to bootstrap for the moment. And oh, I forgot that we were not using the ones and twos. We were using zeros and ones. So I'm going to run this one more time. And instead of the condition groups, it's going to be 0 and 1. Okay. So what we found is that there was not a significant difference if we look at our p-values in the true groups in terms of social connectedness or self-continuity. And in fact, if we look up here, we actually see that the social connectedness came back just slightly lower for the control, but then actually came back a little, the self-continuity came back a little higher for the control. So neither of those are significant differences. So from there, we have to start wondering, what happened, right? There's a few options. One of them is just that our hypotheses aren't correct, and it makes sense that we would not find support for them because there is no actual difference between the two groups that we should see. But I think there's more to the story. So the next thing we would do is look at some of these other variables. And so I'm going to stick everything else in here and then we'll break it down. And again, well, maybe, can I zoom this in at all? No. Okay. Remember, you can zoom in on your screen as needed.
How do I zoom in on my screen? Just the zoom view?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to look at these group statistics, which has the means broken down by the control and the nostalgic group. The first red flag to me is that the control group actually came back slightly higher on the nostalgia score. Even though it wasn't statistically significant that it was higher, it did come back a little bit higher. So it's surprising to see perhaps in the nostalgic group that it was below the midpoint on the scale. And then for the control group, it was actually a little above the midpoint on the scale. We saw similar results for happy, sad, distressed, safe. We can actually look as well at the significance levels. None of these came back significantly different between groups. Now, here's where the plot, I think, thickens further, is that if we look at the familiarity of the songs, again, this is a composite based off of what they scored the two songs they listened to, they came back the same, which really means somehow our manipulation did not work as intended. People, which is surprising that I thought that people in the control group should have been much lower, and people in the nostalgia group should have been much higher.
Yes, on familiarity, because that was the whole point.
And then the same came back on the show.
So Perry, you said there was 3 possible issues. And you mentioned incorrect hypotheses was the first one. So is this the second one, or are you still going with the first?
That would be so the first one would be just our hypotheses weren't, I don't want to say bad, because
Right.
if they're well written, they're not bad. They can just be
Correct.
non-supported.
Yeah.
Second one, which is really what I think is the culprit here,
Okay.
something went off in our method in terms of whether we dig in and we see we had some unexpected error in Qualtrics, or something went wrong on the back end, or just people misinterpreted things. We did not get people who said select familiar shows to say they were super familiar with the shows, and we did not get people who selected unfamiliar shows to say they were not. Well, we didn't actually ask familiarity. We asked the feels.
Right.
What's troubling is that that came back pretty low for both the control and the nostalgic group.
So if the design is the second potential issue, then maybe we go back to that idea. I think you had suggested it before, of making our control group absolutely, we are 100% sure they will, well, 90% sure they are going to be unfamiliar with the songs.
Well, I'm concerned that the last minute change that we made last week, where the control and the nostalgic were asking the same exact questions,
Mhm.
didn't get saved. I explicitly hit publish
Mm.
after we did the change, but we
Okay.
could easily go into Qualtrics. I don't know, Perry, if you have access without needing Karen's two-factor, but we could easily see what questions were presented to them and in what way.
We can see here,
Okay.
at least for the familiar shows,
Okay.
that the wording does give you the feels, and then the unfamiliar did have the do not wording.
Okay.
This view obviously can't check the metadata to make sure that it's appropriate. But we're gonna dig further into this. This is the second scenario, is that something happened in the methodology, right? We did not successfully get people into the right groups or get them to do the things we thought they were doing. So that could mean that on one hand, just the responses are valid and just reflect that, or it could be that maybe there's some data thing on the back end where actually something was marked incorrectly.
As a noob, and probably from left, I think when you don't provide an objective scale, and the first version, people were comparing what I think is familiar and what I think is unfamiliar to each other, and therefore delineating between things that are familiar and all the rest of it. Here, they were just saying this is unfamiliar. So it could be a high unfamiliar or a low unfamiliar. I don't get a chance to delineate against the other. So for me, I would consider that a
That is
challenge.
the point, Ross, and that's certainly one thing, right? Is that when you split into between subjects
Yeah.
designs, not comparing it to anything else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Theory with statistics, the sample sizes should be big enough to allow for that to happen and still get a
Yeah.
significant result, but that could still be a factor because splitting to between groups was the big difference in study one versus the pilots. Something for us to look at though before we go and look back into the study is just getting the correlations between the variables. Because at the end of the day, let's forget like our scale of combining the different like nostalgic, happy, blah, blah, blah. If we just take nostalgia, oop, I don't want S2 though, I want the composition. I'm going to take the familiarity with the show, the song, how much it gave them the feels, and the self-continuity. And it's kind of interesting in the new SPSS, they actually give you this little color coding, which is nice.
Yeah.
I
And
love it.
I know. I was like, wow. Um, which is helpful because it helps you quickly identify correlation.
Absolutely. Because when I see it without the color coding, it literally looks like hieroglyphics to me half the time. And I'm just like, I gotta go. So this is great.
Yeah.
So here's one thing that's good is that there was a very high correlation, like a 0.917 out of, a one scale between the song and the show. So when people said they were familiar with the song, they were equally familiar or about the same familiarity with the show. That's good. That controls for what we expected, right? Where maybe a few people will go, "Oh, I did know that song after all. I never watched the show. I didn't know that was the song they used." But
Mhm.
overall, there was a very high correlation between people saying they knew the song and they knew the show. If that was off, we would start to question, was it bad responses? Was it blah, blah, blah? What could be going on? There was also a strong correlation between the familiarity of the show. So when they said they were more familiar with the show, it gave them the feels at about a 0.7. And then we saw weaker but still positive connections when the song was familiar. It did was higher familiarity with the song was correlated with higher social connectedness and higher self-continuity. And that is as we did expect to happen. Same on the show. Those who knew the show well said it gave them the feels more, were higher on social connectedness, higher on self-continuity. On the feels, we looked at the feels, and then yeah, that's everything. These charts can get confusing, so you have to go down the diagonal because all the data gets repeated based off of where it lines up each time. So that is good news. That to me tells me that probably our option one, that we just had bad hypotheses, is probably not true. We would not be seeing these strong correlations
Mhm.
if our hypotheses were totally off base. The so option one or possibility one is that our hypotheses just were not supported. Everything turned out as it should. Option two, which I think is the most likely, given how we just dug into some of the differences between groups, like it seems like the manipulation for familiarity fields and stuff either did not work as intended or something got messed up on how the data was recorded. And then the option three is just survey pools, bad participants. We talked a little bit before about how um, these are essentially people who are getting paid just a couple bucks to take a quick survey. We do everything we can to control for quality, do attention checks, things like that. But at the end of the day, it is still an online sample, and it's possible people just were not super genuine. It's possible. Built into that, I would say, is one thing we weren't able to do just with the amount of customization we had to do was create a timer to see how long they spent listening to the songs. But that would also be something I would go back and look at. Like when we did the AI stories, we literally had a timer on those pages to make sure they couldn't move for 3 minutes to make sure they actually read it before they moved on.
That's
It
a simple click that I should have just put on there, because it's invisible to them, and you just put it on the page. Didn't even think
don't
about
Yeah.
don't put any of this on yourself, Stephen. You did a lot.
it.
Whole group was online last time. We were looking at the screen with you, and we told Karen said hit publish. We all said hit.
Yeah. Well, it's all learning experience, right? I want to make
None
sure I
of this
don't
is on you
forget that. Yeah.
at
Well,
all.
because you all, Stephen, led those changes to the wording of the questions to be really intentional and clear. What would you say about just providing the control group with the UK songs, leaving the questions the same, everything else is the same, but providing with very likely unfamiliar songs?
Well, I'm going to just pause that real quick, Angel, because I absolutely
Yeah.
want to get to that. I think first what we should do is probably look back at our Qualtrics and see if we can verify that we did not have any unintended things pop up that could
Okay.
affect the quality of the data. And then
Okay.
if it's the case, we will move on to what do we need to do as the next study. Because it could just be that, oops, we screwed something up. We need to rerun it with a couple tweaks. But then if not, then we need to get into what's the next design.
Is rerunning it an option because of our funding?
We will figure that out.
Okay. I'm worrying ahead. That's a mom.
You know, I've been looking into cloud research for my dissertation, and I'm at the point where I'm kind of trying to figure out how to get the demographics to work. And it seems like Cloud Research Connect is a little bit different. Obviously, it's their proprietary thing, but and they're going to hard sell it, right? But in my research on it, it does look like Prime Panels. It pulls from all these different panel sources. So
Oh,
maybe there would be some kind of benefit that the next time we do this data, we go through their proprietary and try to up the quality. That's one of the big selling points for
mm.
Connect over Prime Panels is they do more screening. They do more testing of the participants to make sure that they're in good faith giving answers, things like that. So
Is
just a
it a
thought while
big
you're
difference
saying.
in cost?
I have not been able to figure that. I just talked to their support team yesterday, so I hadn't had a chance to go and
Mm.
see the comparison yet.
Okay, so we probably won't be able to go into Qualtrics today because I did get the two-factor authentication message.
Oh, it goes to Karen?
It goes to her email, yes.
Oh,
And since given that we only have 10 minutes left anyway, I don't want to force her to get onto her computer while she's vacationing. So we'll talk through next steps instead. But to your point, Stephen, like when I did my first dissertation, well, when I did my first study for the AI stories, which was for my dissertation, I actually went through the Qualtrics recruitment service, which is pricier, and they have a $3,000 spend minimum. But the
I
quality of
remember.
their
God
data.
bless you.
But if you are a student paying tuition and you balance the cost of collecting your data and
Yeah.
it's being done and coming back for another term,
Yep.
cheaper,
I hear you.
cheaper to do that.
Smart.
Um,
We paid what 500
yes,
for this session with
yes.
our demographics and everything. Yeah.
So I did notice some quality difference on studies 2 and 3 going to prime panels in terms of more participants were straight lining. The overall averages were a little bit higher. So I do think the panel source does play a factor. Something we could even do is, we had that guy, Aaron Moss, who worked at Cloud Research that I joined one of our lab meetings a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Maybe we could invite him back and brainstorm, but he's probably going to tell you what you're hearing, Stephen, is that, well, Cloud Research
Yeah.
panels take care of that.
What they told it was the content of what they told me that was selling me those that they do these additional tests to ensure the quality. It's like random little like specific tests within their practice surveys that if you get it wrong, they just disqualified you from doing it. So I have to go back and reread the email to say exactly what it was, but
Yeah.
I couldn't find that level of information on how they were getting participants from prime panels.
So I'm just going to start a quick just notes document for us, and let's spend our last 10 minutes here. And essentially, we're just going to game plan our next steps. And then even though I won't be here next week, I would say, first of all, I know a lot of the team here is working on the poster. If the poster needs to take priority next week, please do it. Please don't let the data here bring down your spirits or make you question what you're doing on the poster. That is its own data, that is valid. And it's totally separate from what we're doing here in terms of getting your poster ready. Okay, I'm going to share this. Okay, so MTV study. next steps. So I think the first thing is we need to do a Qualtrics check, right? So log into Karen's Qualtrics, has two-factor authentication. And the first thing I would do is just review the survey flow, make sure the logic is all correct, such as metadata for control versus nostalgic groups recorded correctly. We would review the wording throughout survey for accuracy. And this is all standard stuff too. This is nothing like anytime your study doesn't work out, you would go back and do these steps to make sure that you didn't miss anything. Anything else that we should be checking for in terms of making sure the logic is correct? We have our metadata for control. We have the wording throughout survey that we can check. Is there anything else we can think of?
I think the flow itself deserves a spot. Because there are fields on there. If you put a 2 instead of a 1 on the randomizer, it completely throws everything off. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Perry, from what you've already looked at with SPSS, you verified that the control group songs were rated as unfamiliar? I couldn't read it.
Oh, they were not. That's part of our problem. It's that the control
Okay.
group
Okay.
with not significantly lower on familiarity.
The
Okay.
mean scores looked all very close. But it was weird because some things like upset were low for both groups. So it wasn't like they're just blindly choosing answers.
Mhm.
There seems to be either some misunderstanding, maybe everyone somehow just read the questions too quickly.
Well, I'm
I
still thinking
don't
about what
know.
you said about the different kinds of nostalgia, that maybe it's for the
Yeah.
era. So the unfamiliar shows are still triggering the era.
I I guess if I'm this is a no-no, but if I'm using an anecdote, if I'm gonna choose like the Sanford and Son song, I don't remember, versus like Fresh Prince, I'm
Mhm.
gonna feel like a personal like thing, but I'm also gonna
Mhm.
feel for the Sanford and Son song. I'm gonna feel that I hate it. Um, so you would think that it's somewhere in there, it would start to trend that way, and there would be some split. I think that's Perry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what you're getting at is that through the 256 participants we had, that trend didn't happen. So there seems to be something that's happening before that.
Mhm.
That's either, I don't know, they've read the question wrong, or they're all choosing nostalgic songs that give them the feels, or who knows. I
Right.
do think, oh,
But
sorry.
it could be that they're not reading the data correctly or reading
I,
Can
that direct.
you
I
refresh
think
us how different this is going to be than study two if we can't redo this exact one? Is study two very different?
Well, I think we first have to decide what actually happened here. And if we're going to say that what we expected didn't work, so we're going to try something different, or do we need to postpone our planned study two and run a new study
Mm,
here?
okay.
I think for me, what I always come back to, my main concern is that if we have not successfully achieved the significant differences in level of familiarity for the show, the song, or how much feels it gave them, we have not done the manipulation successfully.
Mhm.
And therefore, I think we can't draw other conclusions from this data, which
So
means to test any of these hypotheses, a new study would need to be run.
one thing I would love to put on your list towards the top is to just check the quality checks. So there's like bot detection. There's all this stuff that it'll check for in the data analysis tab. Like duplicate score, that sort of thing. We could even look and see, are the groups matching up the way that we wanted them to? Are uh, you know, is the survey work functioning the way that it should? Is it presenting those things, and are those things being captured properly? Maybe there's a way there that we could start to see a trend.
Here's something we could look at as well. Forgive my messy desktop. Right, is the other thing I was thinking about is, so for example, each person has two things that were unfamiliar, and then in the other group, they have two things. Well, here, is that more than two? Yeah, that's just an optical illusion. Each row only has two. It just looks like the way it's laid out. Again, because I'm really stuck on this idea of we did not successfully manipulate the two groups. I could also run, rather than doing the composite scores, we could look at song 1 and song 2 individually and keep our same group. And I'm just gonna go to the t-test because that's where it could be interesting. Check. Did it? Okay, we're gonna. So for the first group, they look the same. For the second song, they look the same. Okay. The reason I wanted to check that is I was thinking, what if somehow like one song wasn't a familiar song, wasn't an unfamiliar? Like did for one of the song categories did it work and for the other did it not? But there's no differences there. So okay, so what I'll do is I will email this out. Review study data. Again, anyone is welcome to do that. You can download a copy of the data. Not from Qualtrics, from OneDrive. Actually, I'm gonna do that as number 1 because anyone could do that after this meeting if they wanted. The next step is to log into Karen's Qualtrics, do the quality checks in the data analysis tab, review survey flow, make sure the logic's correct, the metadata, the wording. I think we should just add that timer anyway, just so that it's logged there. And then the next step, and this is what we can continue talking about next week. Again, I'd say focus on getting the poster done first, but if there's time, if we go through all of the Qualtrics and data and we can't find anything wrong, then we need to consider that, is our list of shows too small? Is our wording confusing in the sense of it just did not get people to do what we wanted them to do? We also played fewer songs this round than we did in the pilots. So was part of it just that there wasn't enough cumulative media to achieve a significant difference? And then from there, we can kind of design out our next steps. Whether study 2 becomes just like an amended version of this, or we pivot a little bit and say we're going to try something different. Again, it's coming back to what are we trying to say with this study? And at the core of it, really all we're trying to say is that familiar TV show music from our past can evoke nostalgia, which helps with a sense of self-continuity and social connection. And so as we look at our study design, we just have to figure out, are we really achieving that? We've talked about doing like the British control songs, but then we introduce a new potential issue where are we creating two parallel groups?
Just out of curiosity, does the pilot data kind of rule out the potential risks of priming here if they were to see 30 shows in front of them and maybe 25 they're familiar and they're voting which ones they're not familiar with, but they've already been inflated in some regard to feel those senses of familiarity and nostalgia, and then you go listen to the song and it's only a scale of 1 to 7, so there's a risk of a ceiling effect perhaps at the top. I'm just curious if the pilot data like was it the same structure and we're not worried about that, or
Pilot data was a little different because it was all within subjects, so they heard 3 songs they were familiar with.
see.
But to your point, right around those effects, that could be part of the trouble we found is going into this between subjects design. Perhaps I think I would be more accepting with finding that the control group, it was hard to get if they were more overly familiar, that would be a problem. But I'm more concerned that our experimental group had low familiarity and feels scores after they selected songs that they say are familiar and would give them the feels.
Mhm.
I kind of wish that we had added an optional block that said, did you have anything to add? Because now I'm wondering if the give the feels is as like universal of language as we were thinking it is.
I mean, I would argue that perhaps it's not, which is why, in the other version, I'd really fought for familiar versus unfamiliar, because I think that's more straightforward. This is a little more subjective. The whole thing is subjective. It's about their evaluations of what they report.
You just want them to be able to read the same thing from each participant read the same thing from the same question. Give the feels may mean one thing to someone and one thing to someone else.
Part of the solution could be, don't kill me, Stephen, because this would require building things out, but
No,
right,
not totally.
having like a list, right? Because we're down to what, 15 shows? 20, 25? How many were in the final? 25?
25.
Like if you went through one at a time. Have you watched the show before? Yes, no. Have you watched the show, right? And weed out shows they don't know that way versus maybe just the list approach is not in Chandler's point, right? Then they're all looking all the shows they are familiar with. So maybe it's just
There are ways to do that. You could have them narrow it down through more steps. Take the full list, say choose 5 that you've never heard of. Okay, now with the remaining list, choose 5 that you've heard of but you don't know very well. And narrow it, like whittle it away a bit. That could be interesting.
Or have them
Could even put
evaluate.
in a larger set plants of unfamiliar shows, like from Ross's list, maybe 3 that we know.
Attention checks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, that they have to be, for the most part, unfamiliar.
I don't remember if we said it in this lab meeting last week or if it's something I read, but I did read or heard somewhere that a large portion of people from these panels are doing it on their phones. And
Mm-hmm.
we specifically talked about how it'd be difficult to use on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying, you can choose whether it could be a desktop only thing. It may be an upcharge based on how many people they have available, but That might be something to consider too. Either making it more phone friendly or just saying only people who are doing it from the desktop could take this.
Is there a way, Stephen, that if they were to do mobile or mobile only, is there any way to structure those long blocks so it's not so horizontal?
It's a good question. I think it's the fielding format more than anything. So we could go in there and try to play around with that. I don't know
I'm
how
just
Kaylee would feel
wondering,
about it, but
since you're the player in this
Mhm.
case, if you checked the box from mobile only, if it would automatically dynamically restructure those blocks.
Maybe if we removed the custom formatting for that type of thing, we could just play. We could just play like it may be just. I don't have it played around with it too much, but it may just be a simple click. Which format do you want to use? Fielding custom or just typical Qualtrics? Just try the typical Qualtrics and see what happens. But we've talked about it before. Perry's mentioned it. It's just not. It's not a very streamlined. Uh, like I don't even know what you'd call it. Skin.
Yeah.
It's kind of cumbersome. And even in my dissertation, I'm just not liking it because I have a lot more scales than this, and it just looks so like gargantuan. I don't want
Mm.
people to give me rushed feedback because the things are just way too long, you know? So
Mhm.
I mean that's probably a good idea to try. Make sure that it's usable on mobile. Or we could just say desktop only. You just got to do it on your computer. You know, at this point,
I
we just
thought
need to
we
do
had
work.
voted for that. We didn't.
I don't remember now.
I remember talking about it, but I don't
I wonder
know
if I
how we
can
ended up.
sign into the cloud research real quick.
All
My
right, well,
son's not home yet, so I have a little bit of time.
I do have to go, but I'll let you all continue talking. Again, the data is in SPSS or in OneDrive for anyone who wants to access it. And I just want to make sure everyone knows, don't stress, like no negative thoughts. Like, yes, it's always disappointing when it doesn't work, but we will figure it out. We will get to the bottom of it, and it's a team effort. So
And congratulations on your win. I'm
thank
so
you.
happy, so proud.
I can take some. That one was 3 years in the works.
Just.
All right. All right, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barry. Could
Bye,
you
I
make
gotta
me
go
the
too. Good seeing you guys. Oh yeah, make Steven the
uh,
host before you go so
Bye.
it doesn't shut down the
yeah,
whole
if
meeting.
you don't mind. It should give you the prompt when you end the meeting.
My
Bye.
All right, I'm opening up.
not host tools.
Um,
How do I make myself not the host?
maybe I am the host.
You are,
Let's see
because I
here.
signed into your meeting room. So you should be,
Well,
unless you gave it to him.
I have Perry set as a.
Mine
Co.
says
Oh no,
host.
I am host. It's showing me as host here.
You're
Okay.
Um,
free.
yeah. All right, thanks, Perry. All right, here, let me just share. I have a few minutes until my son gets home. So, all right, so this is the study.
Andrew, are you familiar with this? Is he still here? No, maybe not.
I can't see.
I think he left.
Oh no, I think he's gone, yeah.
Okay. Well, here I am. I don't know what you told me, but I will listen till you think out loud.
You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
This
trying
is
to
in
get
the
into like the big
research
details
part.
page.
There's no way for us to see anything but what's already been output to OneDrive as the results, right?
I
Because
don't
of
know if
Karen's
that's
verification.
oh with Qualtrics, yeah. I'm able to
Okay.
sign into this is her cloud research.
Okay.
Um, but I'm not able to, it doesn't look like I'm able to look at like more details. I just want to be able to see everything that you see when you do like an edit study.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but this does. Oh, you know what? This shows how much time those people spent on there.
I can't read it. What does it say?
So it says 11, almost 12 minutes on average, with
Oh,
a median of 9.4. So there were some people that were pretty GD
that's
fast. I
pretty
mean, all
good
of them were
for
pretty
two
fast.
songs, right?
Yeah, which good is one word. I would say it's not good because that you won't want them to listen to the whole song. The whole song's like a minute and a half.
Mhm.
So if they're listening to it, they're like, oh yeah, I know this, and then they skip ahead.
Hmm. Don't they get
There is
disqualified if they don't listen to the whole thing?
no, we took that
Oh,
out. Um, I
oh,
I can code something in there where the next button won't even show up until the song's done. Um, but we're trying not trying not to piss off our participants.
yeah.
Um,
It's a good point though, because I have felt antsy, that whole goldfish attention span thing.
yes, I do every
So,
time.
yeah. So I have felt antsy too, but maybe there's some effects from listening to it longer, whatever that might be. You had an instinct early to make them all, I think, 30-second clips before we decided, oh, there's
Yeah,
some
my
ability.
my thought there was that you would only ever hear them in 30 seconds. Well, I don't know. It kind of varies, I guess, but definitely not a minute and a half like some of these are. It's
Right.
like even last week, one of maybe it was you said like, "Oh, this is the extended version, Gilligan's Island or whatever."
Yeah, yeah, because if there's a song you love, if I'm asking my Echo device to play music, if I don't like the song, it's not the mood I'm in, I will scream out next in the first 5
Hmm.
seconds.
Same. Yeah, I'm
So,
almost like personally offended if it keeps playing and I don't want to hear it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that can be from my nostalgic, chill from childhood list. I don't always want to hear it.
Hmm.
So, when you talk
Yeah,
about not
this
pissing off your participants, there's more
yeah.
than one way to do that.
It doesn't look like it wants to let me see like the deep details. I would
Does it tell
imagine it
you
would be on
anything?
quotas somewhere.
Does it tell you anything about the participant pool?
I mean, it shows that we didn't have any quotas set up, and it shows 83% completion rate. That means that some people dropped out.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think we were also looking at what was the acronym? We were looking at a drop rate of like 90. So
Hmm.
that's not too terribly off, I guess.
Hmm.
I could sign into my own account and I could see if we play around with stuff like, well, where would that pop up? Because if it pops up here under the quotas, then there we know that none of
So,
these show any quotas set. So that would tell us something.
are you talking about signing in as a participant as if you're going to take the study?
No, I have my
Oh,
own cloud research, so I'm setting up for my
oh, for
dissertation.
your dissertation. Okay.
It's just kind of odd that you would pay over $5,000 and you wouldn't be able to go back and see all the different details you put in here.
Yeah.
Just seems strange.
Is there like an account settings wheel that might have more
This is what it says
in
in
the
the account.
history? Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't seem right because research are the people who are OCD about the details
Yeah, it's a little
professionally.
it's a little strange.
And it's good to know because were I to be doing research on my own, that would make me not choose them or maybe take that other option you mentioned. That Connect
Hmm.
group, is that part of cloud research?
Connect is
Proprietary.
like their offering. So you'll see when I go to log into
Ah,
mine. Oh, well, never mind. Let me log out again. We'll see.
I saw it for a second. Oh,
Yeah.
there, Connect Waves, is that it?
So over here, you choose your product.
Ah,
Prime panels, from what I'm reading, you see, I've been reading about it up here. From what I've read, it's like it pulls from a ton of different large sample sizes. It pulls from like a bunch of different panel sources because there's like
okay.
a bunch of different participant gathering places all over the world.
Mhm.
Connect only has a significant representation like in Australia and the US and Europe or Asia. That they have only a couple regions right now. But it was
Oh,
fine. It was fine for what we needed it for, right? So
that is a good point about the UK being included. So maybe if we were to use one of those groups that's in the UK, our control group songs would not be unfamiliar to them.
yeah, maybe.
Do we know if this Prime Panels one is mostly US?
I think we chose that. I think you choose that up in one of these sections. Like, where are
Okay.
you getting your participants? Is it demographics? Yeah.
Oh, we
Choose
did. Okay,
your
good.
country here.
Okay, that's important.
Um, where did I remember seeing the PC thing? And you can see here how cheap it can get. That is the benefit of Prime panels. But are you getting what you pay for? Maybe.
Right. It's such a difference compared to what Perry paid for with Qualtrics.
But Perry was looking for some, he needed very committed
Specific.
participants because they had to like read
Oh,
multiple
true.
stories and
Yeah.
yeah, I've been going through his dissertation to try to like it's like a good example. Holy God, is that not it's too high of a bar, honestly. But
You know who I
um,
heard of today that I thought about that you would know was Ashley. She reached out to me because, she finished. And
yes.
she was the one who, it was long before lab, she said something about Perry, and I said, "Who's Perry?" And she gasped. And at the same time that I met Perry, I met you. And so I always just put that together, the two of you with Ashley, that she was like horrified. How have you had this many classes and not been with them?
Yeah.
And she told me you were extraordinary. And I said, "Oh, I just met him." And it was that one time you came for a social and it was just you, which
Oh
I
yeah.
thought was so great because I
It
got to,
actually said something about me.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Because this was way back then, whenever that was, 2, 3 years ago, I guess. God, how long
Yeah.
have we been here?
Too long.
And she was just gasping, like, how do you not know him? He's extraordinary and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I actually, when she mentioned Perry, I'm like, who's Perry? But then when she mentioned you, I'm like, wait, I just met him. And it was like just 3 or 4 days before I had met you. And I
That's
said,
funny.
yes, I just discovered him. And she's like, oh, yeah. And she was like gushing, like, these are the guys. And flash forward 3 years later, here we are, and we're all in lab together, and we've done
Hmm.
all the AMAs. And just like, yeah, she told me then. She's like, there's 2 or 3. And the other thing I was thinking of today is that you guys being in the media lab, I say you guys specifically, is a big deal because fielding is mostly female. So you're not just guys, but you're extraordinary.
Yeah, this is the one time in my life where I get to be a minority. It's great. So I found the option, but I
Okay.
don't see that it notified it or I didn't put it anywhere on the front page. So I don't know how to go back and check in hours, but
Are we
if you're,
recording? Oh, we're still recording.
oh, no need to do that. Here, I'll turn that off. Try to turn it off. Hold on.